Taylor Frankie Paul is a TikToker who was part of a group of content-making mums who was featured on a show known as The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives after a swinging scandal. She was also recently chosen to be on a dating reality show, The Bachelorette. But a few days ago, a video of her physically abusing her most recent baby daddy as well as striking her own daughter has put a swift halt to everything. And after many a request, I thought today we'd go over it all and see what exactly is going on, or at least to the best of our extent, find out exactly what was going on. Because as always, in situations like these and in relationships that are as inevitably messy as this one is going to be, it's very difficult to determine what exactly happened when none of us were there. Before that though, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because as you can see from this dodgy Vietnamese translation that I was given just a few days back over here, I have been cursed 200 times by the Lord, and I need some subscriptions to sort of counteract that curse, if that's okay with you guys. I already received curse 1 by my last video getting taken down and demonetized by the Nelson's family, and I think I got curse 2 this morning with this comment over here, which was, I mean, very insightful, if I do say so myself. And to be honest, I don't think I can handle 198 more of these things, so please subscribe to the channel. The first thing you'll notice about Taylor Frankie Paul is that they are not just some small fry, normal civilian who happen to be on a bunch of reality TV shows. No, they're a full-blown, genuine celebrity over in America. Well, I say America, let's get more specific here, and this won't come as a shock to you guys. Yeah, she lives in Utah. Her Insta bio is currently The Bachelorette with a rose and Jesus is King. I swear to God, I'm not intentionally picking out Mormons from Utah for these videos. It just sort of happens to turn out that way. It's not a great month for them, I guess. Her Instagram is not really anything to gawk at though, because her TikTok is where her main bulk of content is produced. She's got 6.1 million followers over on that website over there, TikTok, and you can see all these views are pretty crazy, actually. Like, she averages over 10 million views on these videos, or at least the more recent ones, which maybe have been bolstered a little bit because of the recent drama. I guess bottom line is that she's a big deal, and she's also got really thick skin and knows how to handle hate, as shown by this video here. Now, I'm going to hit you with a little spoiler alert. She isn't actually that great at handling online hate, and the hate that is being presented here as sort of trivial online hate isn't the hate that she is receiving. She's receiving a lot of genuine criticism and real worry from people who are terrified that she is treating her child horribly, because in a video that was released a few days ago by TMZ that we will cover soon, we need to go over the whole chronology first, she is caught throwing chairs at her baby daddy at the time. I say at the time. He doesn't stop being her most recent baby daddy, right? Dakota is his name. He's a whole bag of beans, I almost said. He's a piece of work himself, and we'll go over that when we get to it. But in the video, one of the chairs hits her own daughter. So this is not, you know, trivial online hate because of her hair or something, or because people are being oversensitive, right? This is a very, very messy situation. And she's notorious for being quite messy when it comes to romantic entanglements. We'll have a look at this TikTok video here, which sort of details a full timeline of them.
Timeline and breakdown of the Taylor Frankie Paul situation. This is the video. I'm going to be breaking down everything with dates so that everybody understands the timeline in which all of the events have taken place.
Big up to Sip Tea with Brittany, by the way, for this breakdown. I'm going to up the speed a little bit just for the sake of time.
2016, Taylor Frankie Paul married her ex-husband, Tate Paul. They then had 2 children together, a daughter and a son. In May of 2022, Taylor went viral for a video that she made about a soft swinging scandal, and she announced her divorce. She shared in this live that she had gone too far and that her and her husband were going to be splitting apart because she broke the rules inside of the swinging arrangements. In September of 2022, just 5 months after the divorce was announced, she began dating Dakota and they made their first TikTok appearance. Just a few months later, in November of 2022, Taylor Frankie Paul and Dakota announced that they were pregnant, but that it was an ectopic pregnancy. Between December of 2022 and January of 2023, they had a small breakup, but they reconciled very quickly. And then in February of 2023, this is when Taylor was arrested for the first DV incident. It's important to note that it does not appear that her and Dakota broke up after this incident. And in August of 2023, that is when Taylor pled guilty for that DV incident. In September of 2023, they announced that they were pregnant with their rainbow baby. And in March of 2024, they welcomed their son that they shared together.
That DV incident is the video that I was referring to just a second ago, which obviously we will get to. I'm sure you've already seen it if you haven't already. That DV arrest right there is obviously referring to the video that I've talked about just a second ago. I'll put it on screen now just without any audio, but we will cover it properly later. It might need to be blurred a little bit because it is quite graphic. However, it is very clear that this is not a typical this is not a healthy relationship. Like, anyone familiar with abusive relationships will know that a lot of these relationships, especially if they happen in, I don't know, I feel like every neighborhood, especially in like rougher areas, have relationships like these where they're very clearly not good for each other. They're very clearly not good to each other. They break up a lot. They get back together a lot. They fall out, the whole sort of neighborhood knows about it, and then they get back together, and everyone's thinking, fuck, man, why are they still together? It's that sort of thing. And the police get called all the fucking time. I definitely had relationships like that in the neighborhood that I grew up in. I can say from, well, I guess secondhand experience, because it didn't happen to me, but it's not great for the children that those people tend to raise. In fact, it's usually quite devastating for those children. So that's probably another thing that should be stated here, is that the biggest victim in this situation is by far her children, and more specifically the child that she has had with Dakota. By the way, we can't flesh this all out right now because we barely even know who Taylor Frankie Poole or Dakota even is. So let's continue with this.
September of 2024, that is when Secret Lives of Mormon Wives premiered. And then in May of 2025, Taylor announced on TikTok that her and Dakota had broken up because of Dakota's infidelity. Through 2025 and 2026, they have had an on and off again situationship. Basically, we've seen them hook up, very toxic relationship, hooking up and then getting really upset with one another, which is what we see on the TV show Secret Lives of Mormon Wives unfold. And on February 24th and February 25th of 2026, that is when the second DV situation happened. Then just this past week, news broke that there was the DV situation that happened in February, and then everything started to unfold. And that is when TMZ released the full video footage that they had from the very first domestic violence situation in February of 2023. On March 19th, Taylor was officially canceled for her season of The Bachelorette following that TMZ video. It was announced today that Dakota had filed a protective order and temporary sole custody of their child and a restraining order against Taylor Frankie Paul, and he was granted that today. Court hearing is scheduled for April 7th to discuss this matter. Now, while Taylor seemingly had a very good co-parenting relationship, it is also being speculated that Tate is also looking to gain full custody of their children that they share together. But no further updates have been made in regards to that situation. And as we've seen unfold the rest of this week, there is just article after article, and all of that is really just the bombshell of that DV video being released by TMZ. Everything else that you're seeing has kind of followed because of the aftermath of that. So I hope that this answers questions. I hope this gives people a little bit better of an idea of that timeline, the breakdown, when things happened, how things occurred. And if I missed anything, please let me know and drop it down in the comments.
So yeah, needless to say, incredibly messy, incredibly abusive relationship. Okay, now let's reel it back a little bit and talk about mum talk and the establishment of that and how it led to the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and all of that sort of malarkey.
Also, like, Macy and I knew each other because of that. I had actually done Whitney's hair for 2 years before the show.
Jesse's mom did my hair once.
Yeah, Michaela's been to my...
So, you know what? I was going to watch this video, but it's so boring. We're going to skip this video. I don't care how the members of Mum Talk met. All that we need to know is that Mum Talk was a thing that existed. And it was like very basic TikTok content. So here's an example. A bunch of very young mums, because a lot of Mormons tend to have children and marry quite young, etc., etc. We've covered enough Mormons to where we know this all already. Right, they're very traditional, not typically the type for swingers and swinging parties, but whoop-de-fucking-do, I guess. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Am I 50 years old? I don't know what I'm doing, man.
I want one! I want my own army! I want my own planet! I deserve it!
See, that's them showing their children, who I am positive will not grow up to have any long-lasting effects from all of this mum talk bullshit, or any of the completely moral people that were involved with it all. Anyway, now it's time for the fun part, swinger parties.
So there's a new Hulu show going around that we're all talking about. It's a new reality show following a group of Mormon mom influencers that are part of Mom Talk. Why did they get their own show? Well, this show is following their lives post the aftermath of the soft swinging scandal that happened in Utah. If you know anything about Utah, it's that it's a very conservative Mormon state. Everyone's basically Mormon. It's really small. Think of it like Spokane or Yakima. Hills and plain, everybody knows each other. Big McMansions everywhere. Mormon young moms. Taylor Frankie Paul. She is the creator of Mom Talk. She's the one that got pretty popular on TikTok first back in the day, 2020 or 2021, like pandemic era. The one that would make those videos being like, oh, my house is haunted. It was like a spooky dumb ghost in the background, but it was like fake. She's also the one that would be like, oh, I'm actually 50 years old. She's also the one whose baby looked like Baby 7 from some vampire show. She got popular first, and then she brought her friends in, and they created Mom Talk, just a place for all of these influencer Mormon moms that live in Utah to get together, share parenting tips, do dancing videos together. They individually got their own clout and grew on their own.
Okay, look, I know this might be a little off topic, but I actually want to know why Utah is home to so many Mormons. I guess it might just be a case of like, because there are so many Mormons there, it just breeds more Mormonism, which I know Mormons don't like being called Mormons, like the Sacred Latter-day Church, whatever the fuck, right? I'm gonna use Mormons here. I hope you don't mind. Why are there so many Mormons in Utah? Early members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were driven out of New York, Ohio, Missouri, and Illinois, culminating in the 1844 death of their leader, Joseph Smith. They moved to Utah, which was then part of Mexico, to escape U.S. regulation and find a place to freely practice their religion. This is the place, a mountainous region and a safe haven. The area was previously sparsely populated, making it easier to settle and build a cohesive, large-scale community. And I guess colonization efforts were just very encouraged, and that church leaders encouraged people to move there, and they established over 100 towns throughout the region to expand their influence. And because they have such high birth rates roots and they're so traditional and they burn all these ideas into their children, basically by proxy of being a Mormon. I suppose it's just not a trend that has any chance of dying out very soon. Right, so I suppose it's just as simple as they wanted a place where they could practice their beliefs without persecution, and Utah happened to be that place because they got kicked out of every other fucking place in the country. That's not too complex of a history. I feel like I'm glad we know that now. Also, this lady talks a little bit quickly, so I'm gonna lower the speed slightly.
Think of it as like a hype house, but for hot Mormon moms. And so anyways, why did they get a show? Well, from Mom Talk, we got the soft swinging scandal that broke TikTok. Oh my god, you had to be there for this era. The reason this is tea is because they're all Mormon. The Mormon church is very conservative. Like, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, you can't drink caffeine, no tattoos, you only want piercing, very strict. Let's get into the soft swinging scandal. Like the #singing slasher from SpongeBob. It shook the fuck out of Utah and the Mormon community because it's a very Mormon state. They have very strict rules that they follow. What happened was Taylor and her husband started swinging with other Mormon groups that they were friends with. And the reason that Mom Talk got involved was because once the controversy came to light, everyone accused all of Mom Talk of swinging, but really it was just Taylor and like her other friends. It still hasn't really been confirmed if anyone in Mom Talk was swinging. We think Whitney was, and she won't admit it. The reason we found out about the swinging was because someone posted it on Reddit and it got a little bit out, and then finally Taylor, she was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like get on TikTok and confess what happened, because she was about to get divorced and everyone's like, oh my god, wait, why are you getting divorced? You guys were fine the other day. So yeah, me and a few other group of Mormon couples were swinging with each other. We did everything but sex and we had rules. And what happened was that Taylor caught feelings for one of the husbands that she was swinging with, and she ended up going too far. So her husband, who was swinging with her, divorced her. When she did that TikTok confession, it shook TikTok. I remember when that came out, I was deep in the Reddit threads like, oh my god, this is insane. This confession came out in 2022.
I wasn't deep in the Reddit thread, so excuse my ignorance when it comes to every aspect of this swinging drama. I don't tend to spend my days looking at the secret lives of Mormon wives. It's not a show that I've personally ever been interested in, but I do appreciate this TikToker here, so big up to Shayla for explaining this whole drama. She does a lot of these whiteboard videos, and they tend to be very useful for my commentary videos, actually, so big up to you. I will say, though, it's definitely not helping. Like, you can just tell that by nature, almost, these people are just messy as fuck. I mean, it doesn't sound like that first divorce was very not well-founded, if that makes sense. Like, she straight up caught feelings for someone else. Like, I feel like the husband has kind of every right to divorce at that point, which I'm not sure is contested by any means, but I don't know, it makes sense there, I suppose. Were they really swinging, doing everything but sex? Were they, what, like, just kissing, swinging or something? Or, like, does oral count? Do they count oral? Does it fucking matter? Probably not. Do I care? Let's just keep watching. I don't know why I care about this.
Because of this, all of Mom Talk got accused of swinging, and it's a bad look at the Mormon church because, like, their church is everything there. So if someone accused me of swinging, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But for them, their religion is their life. Everyone is Mormon. Everyone's part of the church. Basically, like, canceled. You can't just pretend to not give a fuck. No, you are doomed in the Utah community. This caused so much drama and tea that Mom Talk basically kind of broke up. Rumors were going around, and now that the show is here, it's following the aftermath of what happened when this scandal came out, because it did change a lot. And after the swinger scandal happened, they stopped getting brand deals and they lost a lot of their income, and they were very upset at Taylor. Taylor was very honest and was like, I was the one involved in it. I'm taking ownership. But everyone was just like, oh my god, like, no. Kind of just like the overview of it. Taylor ended up divorcing her husband. She did not end up with the guy she caught feelings for. It's a whole different scandal that we'll get into in the second video. Who the girls are, how they're involved, who we like, who we don't like. We're gonna do a deep dive on Taylor, Frankie, Paul, because she is lore. Who she's with now, whose baby she's having now. The show's premise is basically them all being like we're affected by this.
Okay, so she was yapping for so long that she literally could not fit it all in this one video. We're not gonna go over the other ones though. Like, that's enough of an overview, I think. I do want to have a look at some of the old vids and screenshots of Taylor's content when all the swinging stuff was coming out, I suppose, because a lot of this has sort of been lost to time now, and you have to go over like other TikTokers' commentary videos when it was all happening to find the videos themselves. And these are pretty interesting, so I do want to show these to you. So I think this is her doing like TikTok dancing videos to cheating and swinging drama. When these people, like, they have children, this is Mum Talk, they have children, this is gonna have very devastating effects on the children involved. I don't know, it's just not much of a laughing matter in my opinion. She never asked to stop. She was one of the instigators. She sent her husband to get me. But tell your side, sis. And it's just a video of her dancing, I think. Yep, dancing and lip syncing videos. How lovely is that?
Kenna Gibbons, the wife of the third couple involved in the soft swinging scandal, just posted a 5-part TikTok series going over how everything occurred from her perspective.
There was my ex and myself, and then 2 other couples. Couple 1 is who we had soft swinging instances with, and couple 2 was really good friends with couple 1, and we would all hang out, and couple 2 participated in the drunk games. I was starting to recognize things were happening between couple 1's wife and him. Night number 2 is when the first of 2 swinging instances happened. We did switch partners, and yeah, soft swinging happened. I was saying to my ex, like, I felt like I noticed feelings between you and couple one's wife. And he said, oh, actually, I told her after the cabin, and we both recognized that like, we get along really well, that feelings could grow. So yeah, we both don't want to go down that route.
If there's one thing men have, it's the audacity. The fact that her husband...
Tell you what, I'm so glad that I wasn't making videos at the time that this whole thing happened, because I would have hated covering this. And I definitely would have had to. I would have got so many requests for this if I was as big as I was now at the time. But I think this would have pushed me over the... I think I would have just quit. If I was doing this, I would have just quit. It's just so messy and so like, just what is this, man? Okay, so that's all we really need to know about the swinging drama. There's a lot more to it, obviously. Like, a bunch of the members released loads of different parts. There's like probably hundreds of minutes that you can compile of people talking about this whole mum talk swinging bullshit story, whatever the fuck that I don't really care that much about. Now we get into the more current stuff, which is the Bachelorette announcement, I suppose. The Bachelorette is a series in American television, I believe, where there's a woman and they have to date like 60 men in the course of like a month or two, and then they pick one of the 60 of the... It sounds so dumb when I say it out loud. Not even when it sounds dumb reading it as well. Like when you read the bio, there's no way to explain it without sounding dumb. Like, what is this show? It has a 3.5 on IMDb, so it doesn't seem to be a very good show. First episode, 2003. Fucking hell, how long is this? Jesus. Season 21, episode 10. What the fuck? You know what? I'll be real with you. As someone who I've not seen one episode of this show. Maybe I'm judging it way too quickly. You know, maybe it is actually the gold standard for reality television. I wonder if The Bachelorette... Oh, wait. Oh, it's a spin-off, apparently. So apparently The Bachelor was first, which I guess the man was dating a bunch of women, and now this is The Bachelorette. Very creatively sort of gender swapped the whole thing. Because why not, I guess, if the first one was doing so well. Have any couples from The Bachelorette stay together? This is it. I'm interested about this. Today I learned out of 24 seasons of The Bachelor, only one couple is still together. Now that is a fucking shock to me, because I was genuinely expecting it to be 0. I don't know about you, but I feel as though that kind of environment does not breed very healthy long-term relationships that are bound to go on for years and years and decades. I mean, some people are embarrassed to tell people that they met their significant other on dating apps. Imagine that being your story for meeting your significant other. And it's not even as though you can make something up. Like, if you meet on Hinge, you can make something, oh, we met at a bookshop, or something like that, right? But you can't do that here, because it was on national television. Anyway, here's the epic announcement that Taylor Frankie Paul was going to be the next Bachelorette.
Surprise. I'm your next Bachelorette.
Yes! Oh, this is the best news I've heard all year. Man, it's been quite a tough one. There's been war, there's been perish, there's been illness. My family's been going through it, but fuck me. Taylor Frankie Paul's the next Bachelorette. I can rest easy. I don't even think it was announced this year. This was last year, but it was meant to come out this year, so it's something to look forward to, I guess. This will be the best season ever, no doubt. Yeah, the best season out of 23 or however many there are now. People are so... Look at all these blue check marks, man. People are so excited for this. Amazon. Why is... Mate, is Jeff Bezos watching The Bachelorette? I don't know about you guys, but I can barely fucking contain my excitement, so we need to quickly go over to this video here, I think.
I don't know what to say. Just be yourself. Say something nice. Which one? I can't do both.
Pretty funny, that. Oh my goodness. Look at this promo poster. That was meant to happen on the 22nd of March. But it was the 19th of March when the TMZ video was released of the domestic violence, obviously. That must have been a huge blow to the Bachelorette people, let me tell you. I've heard reports that it wasn't actually Dakota who leaked the footage. I'm not sure how true that is. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, which is very soon now. Here are some more promo pictures. Yeah, mate, they were hyping the fuck out of this. This was a huge deal there. Because again, she's very famous, this lady. What are Crocs doing? What are all these accounts why are Crocs so excited about this? There's a lot of Crocs here in Vietnam, by the way. So, I guess they pick their niches quite well, Crocs. This is very haunting, this one. You've got She's Not That Innocent, and it's right next to the most unpredictable Bachelorette ever. I mean, they were right, probably not for the reasons that they wanted to be right, but they were right. All right, let's have a look at the actual trailer. This will be interesting.
Tonight we're The Bachelorette. This is the last time I'm seeing you guys before I meet all the men. Wish me luck. Bye. I am really excited. My life is going to change forever. I'm The Bachelorette. Let's go do this.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Welcome, by the way, to the mansion.
Stunning.
So, Taylor Frankie Paul, how does it feel to be our new Bachelorette?
It's wild and it's exciting. I'm nervous, so nervous.
What are you hoping comes of all this for you?
A better version of me, and hopefully a husband, stepdad, dad, you know?
It's your time. You deserve this opportunity.
I can't, mate, you're going on the fucking Bachelorette reality TV show to find the father of your children. I mean, that is just so outlandish. I don't think I even need to describe how fucking outlandish that is.
First limo's about to pull up, but that's actually not going to happen. And you're going to find out why here in just a moment.
I don't like surprises.
All right, Taylor.
Yeah.
Let the journey begin.
Thank you.
That was the worst promos what was that, man? There was no energy. There was no excitement. She just looked scared and bemused. First night excitement. She didn't look very excited to me there, mate. The only excited one was the weirdo host talking about how she deserves it. What exactly does she deserve? A choice out of 50 men to be her? This is like trafficking. You could take the concept of this show, strip any indication of reality television from it, and it would sound like actual trafficking. So this is like her latest TikTok, I guess, and I think it's her teasing the winner of the Bachelorette, like the person who won her love, I guess. Well, you can just see that arm, but it gives away the race of the person. So unless every person on the show was white, then there's sort of spoilers here, I think. I want to see what the diversity is like here. They've not updated the website, to be fair. They've still got Taylor, Frankie, Paul here. One of them had 2 people. Here we go. We got a cast of people. No, there's black people. There's Asian people. They've got a decently diverse cast, especially for Utah. Some of these names, by the way, Doug. Like, Doug is the least sexy name ever. Fun facts, Doug can ride a unicycle. Oh my god, Doug won! Wait, no way! You're taking the piss. I swear to god, I did not know about this. Doug is the winner of the Bachelorette. But it wasn't, obviously, the season never came out, so we don't know this, but people cross-referenced Doug's arm with the arm in the fucking video. No, oh my god, I'm actually excited right now, because I had no idea. You might not believe me. I wouldn't believe you if I were in your position. I had no idea. Fucking Doug, man. What's Doug up to then? Wait, they've got a Bachelorette highlight.
And everybody, in light of everything that's happened, I'm just sending out prayers to Taylor, because that was her moment, and her moment was blocked. So, all we can do right now is just be hopeful, and I'm headed off to run to watch the sunrise. So, hope you guys have a great day, and let's stay positive and show nothing but support for people in need. Cheers.
This was her moment, and it was blocked, man. All she did was throw chairs at her baby daddy and actual daughter. Oh, Doug. I mean, I'd say she's not gonna let you hit, but she probably would, actually. Oh, Doug on the guitar, wait, is this Taylor? No, it's not. It's just another girl. Doug, you have to, Doug, you have to sing louder or bring the mix down a little bit, because I can't actually hear your vocals here. Also, what's the point of holding the fucking guitar if you're not going to play it? Like, I've been I expected to, Doug, man. I don't think you understand how acoustic guitar videos are meant to go, man. Doug, it's all kinds of wrongness. This video makes no sense. There's too many cuts as well. Oh, Doug the mug. Anyway, here's Dakota, the really messy ex who was the alleged victim of this domestic violence. Apparently, they actually slept together the day before she flew over to film The Bachelorette. So once again, continues to be a very toxic and messy relationship, even to this day. People also think that he looks very similar to Doug, which, I mean, I don't know about that. They're just both white guys. Oh, we actually get confirmation of who won, and it was Doug. It was Doug Mason who won The Bachelorette. Well done, Doug. However, oh no. Oh, Doug. Oh, Doug. Doug, what have you done? No! Since filming ended, Taylor and Doug have broken up. And yes, it's because of Dakota. Taylor was never over Dakota, as everyone said after she was announced for The Bachelorette. And it was just revealed to the public in episode 10 of Secret Lives that she slept with Dakota the night before leaving for filming. Oh, no. Do you reckon they did it in Dougie style?
There were a lot of phone calls, like, where we would get done filming and I would call my wife right after and say, oh my God, you have no idea what just happened. But I can say for sure, in the 5 years that I've been hosting, this is easily the most dramatic season we've had. This is one wild ride from start to finish. as a host, I never knew what she was going to do or say. And I think it was really unique and interesting bringing Taylor in from outside of the franchise. Obviously, Taylor has a ton of experience on reality television, obviously has a massive social media following, but she's very new to the Bachelor world and didn't really understand the format and the process fully coming into this. And so when you get someone who's as green as she was coming into our franchise, the best part about it was you got unbelievable rawness and authenticity from her.
Rawness. I don't think rawness is what you want to see that early into a relationship, to be frank. Or to be Frankie Paul. Worst decision ever made by ABC. You guys just lost so many views over an old video. I mean, maybe they don't want to platform someone who throws chairs at their daughter, to be fair. A lot of talk over a lawsuit, by the way, because it's such a fucking horrible look for ABC and it's such a huge inconvenience. They wasted a lot of money here. Let's actually get to the DV video now. This was filmed by Dakota in 2023. Apparently it was provided to TMZ by Dakota as well, and TMZ released it. However, Dakota's roommate later said that neither he nor Dakota released the video to TMZ. I guess we can make of that what we will when we get to it, but for now, let's actually just watch the video. And now, let's put this before the video, but obviously, trigger warning for this video. It does show a baby and a bloke being thrown a chair at by her. It's not just a light throw, like she flings these chairs at them, and it ends with the baby crying for those who don't have the stomach to actually watch the video.
Yeah, look at you. Look. Yeah, look. This is called physical abuse. Yeah. Yeah. See, Taylor, this is all you do. It's the only thing you know how to do. Holy shit.
It's okay. I don't give a f.
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my gosh. Your daughter is right here. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
The police report says the 5-year-old girl was hit and later had a goose egg on her head. Police arrived on the scene that night after a neighbor called to complain about the noise, and in the video you hear the officer trying to separate them. During the fight, Taylor yells, "You threw me," a few times, and she later claims to police Dakota had thrown her to the ground prior to what's seen in the video. We know responding officers saw this video and prosecutors used it in the case against Taylor. She eventually pled guilty in abeyance to the felony and was placed on 3 years probation, which ends in August. If she keeps her nose clean until then, the conviction will not appear on her record. As part of the deal, prosecutors dropped 4 other charges, including domestic violence in the presence of a child, child abuse, and criminal mischief. A rep for Taylor is lashing out at Dakota, telling us it's sad to see the latest installment of this never-ending, desperate, attention-seeking, destructive campaign to harm Taylor without any regard for the consequences for their child. Releasing an old and selectively edited video on their son's birthday is a reprehensible attempt to distract from his own behavior. There is something I do want to talk... Actually, no, we'll finish what the rep says. The rep added, "Thankfully, the public has seen this app before and knows who he is, and sadly, many will recognize this pattern of manipulation, both in his actions, on the show, and from their own experiences." Now, the video itself there are cuts in the video, so whoever sent it over to TMZ has literally put it in Premiere Pro and made cuts in it. Either that or TMZ cut it themselves and made it shorter than it was before, maybe because there was a moment when nothing was really happening. But if it is a video where someone manually edited it, or maybe it's 2 videos maybe stitched together perhaps, that's possible as well. However, if it really is a video that has been edited by Dakota and sent over to TMZ, or even if it wasn't, I always think it's important to remember when people record cases like these, that the person who is recording obviously knows that the phone is recording, right? They know that there is a recording going on and will adjust their behavior accordingly. Usually in situations like these, the perpetrator allegedly doesn't know that they're being recorded and so doesn't act as though they're being recorded, and that makes, I guess, morally looking at these situations a little difficult because we don't know what would be happening if the cameras were off. This situation's a little different though, because she does seem aware that there is because he's talking to the camera as she is hitting him. So she must have been really fucking uncontrollably angry for her to continue throwing shit at him and her daughter whilst she knows that he was recording. Like, that really does show a level of unhinged energy and like consistent unhinged energy there. And it does make you think, like, if that's what she's acting like on camera, then what the fuck would she be doing off camera? I think there would be a lot more nuance here if she didn't know the camera was recording. Now, I'm not too clued up on Dakota. From what I have seen of him, he does seem like a massive fucking arsehole, and I've got no qualms with saying that he was probably stirring the pot here. This is not going to be a video where I mindlessly go after someone who is accused of DV because there is video footage of them undeniably abusing both their husband and daughter, though, because we don't know whether or not it was a reaction to something that Dakota may have been doing. I'm not going to say without doubt that Dakota did something to, I guess, he definitely didn't do anything to deserve this, but that's only because I think the concept of deserve is bollocks a little bit. But it's not outside the realm of possibility that he instigated in one way or another. And I know I'm going to get a lot of people coming at me, commenting that I'm victim blaming this bloke and that I wouldn't be talking about this if it was a bloke, you know, abusing a woman, for example. But that's bullshit, because I have covered on this channel before female victims of abuse in the Mercury Stardust case, and I said very similar things, that they were recording, Mercury Stardust didn't know that they were recording, and so we can't take the recording at face value, especially because there were cuts in the video. It's very, very possible that the people recording the video may have been provoking Mercury Stardust and also changing their behavior to portray themselves in a more innocent light. And that's not to say that recording is ever a bad idea or an untrustworthy one. Obviously, that is what you want to do if you want to gather the most conclusive evidence possible. But it's just, I don't know, it's one variant in a multivariate equation that is so complicated when it comes to proving undoubtedly things like these and cases like these. I feel like we know by now that it's pretty much impossible to determine exactly what's going on in situations like this if you aren't directly involved yourself. People who are directly involved even sometimes struggle with determining exactly what happened. These situations are messy is what I'm trying to say. Like mutual abuse, for example, is a term that a lot of people don't like, but I feel like a lot of people don't like it because they want to separate abusers into reactive abuser, primary abuser, good guy, bad guy, when human violence is like a fucking rainbow. There's so much diversity to it, and it's usually not as simple in abusive relationships as good guy, bad guy. Reactive abuse is still abuse. That's why it's called reactive abuse. If this video of Taylor Frankie Paul is indeed reactive abuse, and her throwing the chairs about and all that was indeed a reaction, that doesn't make it any less abusive, especially towards her child. And also, does reactive abuse still count as purely reactionary if it's not proportional to the original abuse? Like if Dakota, for example, was being verbally abusive towards her, as much as she might have been reacting via throwing the chairs at him, she would by far be perpetuating the worse and more damaging abuse in that situation. So even though it's reactive, that doesn't make her any less of a bad person, even in comparison to him, despite him also being a piece of shit. And this is not me making any conclusions as to what was definitely happening here. All I'm saying is that there are so many things that could have been happening here, and that we don't know the full story at all. All we do know, however, is what's on the tape, and what's on the tape is fucking disgusting, and I'm not sure she deserves custody over her children based on what's on the tape, because she's someone who is willing to throw chairs without thinking properly about the damage it'll cause at her husband, even under the massive risk of causing collateral damage to her own daughter, on camera no less. As much as I'm comfortable saying that I don't like Dakota and that he's a huge mug, I'm also comfortable saying that about Taylor. We can have a look at the arrest body cam footage though, maybe this will explain a bit more about the context.
Can I get a drink, please? Please?
Can you promise not to talk to him while we go in there?
Sure.
I just don't want anything escalating to an argument or fight while we go in there. Okay? Okay, let's go. What? Work?
What do you need from me?
So I just need you to tell me what happened tonight. So you went out on a girls' night, you said that, right?
Yeah, he picked me up from girls' night.
And then what happened?
And he was bitching me out the way home.
So when you describe that to me, about what?
I guess having fun with the girls. And he was going to a concert, but he was like, we're not going to a concert now. And he came home. And then we were fighting. And we were fighting at each other, and then I was going at him, I guess hitting him, and then he pushed me into the kid stuff, and then I went ballistic because he pushed me so hard, and then I fought back, and then we were just fighting, and I just let him out.
That's where a lot of her, that's where I was trying.
Okay, so that is her making the claim that he started the physical altercation by pushing her way harder than necessary, I guess, towards the kid stuff. Obviously, there's no video footage of that, and even if there was, I'm sure Dakota would not have included that in the video footage that he sent over to TMZ. Either way, it definitely does not justify the very disproportionate response that Taylor had towards him and her daughter. I think maybe we'll go over the whole implications of what was happening beforehand, how ethical it is to ask questions without being labeled as victim blamey when we get to the whole response section of this video, because I want to go over what a bunch of TikTokers and a lot of therapists think about this whole situation. For now, though, we'll continue with the body cam footage.
So she's going through a lot right now. Yeah, with her divorce and stuff. Like, I think that's just been really hard on her. And she hasn't done any therapy.
And that's a different relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago. So it's very fresh. So we got in a relationship, like, really pretty soon after her divorce. And so that's why it's been hard. It's just been like a lot, I think, for her.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think she's going through a lot. She's the type to where, yeah, it's hard for her, I think, to get help. You know, like she fights it.
So you guys come home. She starts getting angry.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that you're wanting to go home.
Yeah, well, I was trying to just take her inside. I was trying to help her in. I was like, let's go. Like, you need to go inside. And I think she was saying something that she wanted to go party still. I'm like, no, like, you can't. Yeah, and then I went inside because I was finding just, like, she was not coming out. So I was like, okay, well, and she said her parents were here. So I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, I'm going to go.
Are they actually in there?
No, they weren't. It was, like, I don't know, like, her niece or something like that. I don't know. And so I went in there and was, like, going to get them. I'm like, hey, Taylor's, like, drunk. You, like, come get her or something.
Are they coming over?
No, they already left. They were house sitting for her, watching her kids.
Oh, okay.
And then she came flying in. And that's when she was, like, freaking out on me in front of them. And I'm like, whoa, what?
And what was she saying?
Oh, crazy stuff. I don't know. I think she was like, I don't even know what she was saying. I don't know. Something about her phone. She was going off about her phone. And then she chucked her phone at me. And then, or no, she threw it on the ground. Boom. And then, I'm trying to think, damn, everything happened so fast.
So as far as what like happened to you, you said that you're kind of like hurt on your elbow.
Yeah.
What was that from?
That was from, she threw that thing at me there. And that was the thing that hit my truck as well, the wood thing.
Okay, so he doesn't say anything about pushing her, so again, that's just not something that we can verify in any way, shape, or form, I don't think.
All I know is that I was so scared that I peed my pants. He pushed me into it. I reacted, sure. I threw it at him.
Okay. What about the, like, all the metal chairs here and, like, the...
Yeah, I threw them on him. Yeah, I was scared.
Why?
I was scared.
About what?
Him.
Like, what were you, like... I'm just trying to get...
He's fighting back. I peed my pants because I was so scared of him in my garage. He pushed me into the wooden thing, so I reacted. I threw the wood thing at him, and when he came in, I threw everything else at him. I was scared.
Okay. How did everything start?
We were in the car, and we were bickering. He was mad that I went to a girls' night. He picked me up from the girls' night. We were fighting from the girls' night to my house.
Okay, and then what happened when you guys pulled up?
We were still fighting, and then I got out, and he threw me into the wood thing, which is why I reacted to that, and I went ballistic when he pushed me into the wood thing. And I was like, I guess, fighting back with him.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting very conflicting stories here, of course. It's just he happens to have some footage of the abuse that he was enduring at the hands of her. And so, obviously, unfortunately, that's all we can really verify here. And then, of course, she was prosecuted as someone who was, you know, abusing their child and also domestic violence under reasonable... Well, beyond any reasonable doubt, in fact, because there was a genuine conviction for it. So I think it is extremely safe to say that Taylor Frankie Paul is, without doubt, a domestic abuser and a child abuser. Does that abstain Dakota from any wrongdoing? Obviously not, but like, you know, I think it's obvious who the confirmed abuser is here, at least under the eyes of the law. There was a lawyer who went over the custody case that Dakota filed over this video from 3 years ago, which, I mean, it's definitely a weird time to release the video a couple days before the whole Bachelorette thing was going on, and then release a case for custody just now as well, when it did happen 3 years ago. I'm not saying that makes it any less believable or anything, I'm just, like, you know, it is weird. But let's have a look at this video.
My name is Chase Walker. I'm an attorney in Salt Lake City, Utah. I practice complicated divorce and custody cases, very much like the custody case involving Taylor Frankie Paul and Dakota Mortensen. Now, because everybody and their dog are talking about that right now, I thought I would just join into the chorus and talk specifically about what happened today, March 20th, in the Utah court. What happened today was that Dakota Bo Mortensen was able to get a temporary protective order against Taylor Frankie Paul. Now, in the state of Utah, you get temporary protective orders typically based on ex parte applications, meaning that Taylor Frankie Paul did not get to participate in the initial proceedings that led to this temporary protective order. Now, in the state of Utah, temporary protective orders are a stopgap. So when they get entered until the hearing to adjudicate if that protective order should become permanent, the court issues a temporary protective order. Now, what this means is that Dakota was able to marshal sufficient facts under Utah law to establish a temporary restraining or temporary protective order wherein he alleged there would be imminent fear of physical harm or threat of physical harm. A couple of other things to note here, and just in this box, I redacted all of her personal identifying information, although I will note that as part of the identifying information, it does say that she's an influencer. Instead of identifying any tattoos or things, it just says you basically know what she looks like because she's an influencer. But the other interesting thing here is that other persons protected is blank. So whether or not Dakota had listed their son ever as a potential victim or someone that also needed protection from Miss Mortensen or from Miss Paul, the court did not include that there, which means we'll talk about what happens for the rules of parent time on this window between today, March 20th, and the date of the hearing, which I've decided to leave out of this because I don't want to flood the Salt Lake City courthouse with a bunch of fans or people wanting to get sort of eyes on this case, but it is scheduled to take place in a couple of weeks. Now, the court did issue a no contact order, meaning that Taylor cannot contact Dakota except for mediation, as it notes here. And that's relevant for a couple of reasons. The first is they very well may want to resolve this out of court. They don't want to have all of these facts put in the public eye. Protective order courts are open to the press, open to the public. There are some caveats and certainly some protections that the court may, on high profile cases like this, implement as the judge and the commissioner gets to decide really how they operate their courtroom. But it's also important because their actual custody case never got resolved. As of the end of 2025, the docket reveals that the orders had not been entered because the paperwork had not been properly filed. We were able to see some of the income verifications and parenting classes that are required, but not everything was done appropriately. We'll also note here that it is 100 feet away from petitioner, meaning that Taylor at all times will need to stay at least 100 feet away from Dakota. Now, this is going to be the provision that's going to be very, very difficult for Taylor Frankie Paul, and this is that she's not being permitted right now to have any parent time with Ever. Dakota has been awarded temporary sole physical custody of Ever. Taylor is not permitted right now to see Ever. Now, that's probably why the mediation provision is going to be so vital, because hopefully they'll be able to get into mediation and come up with an agreement where they can dismiss the protective order and then look at getting parent time back in place. We really don't want to take the child away from either parent for an extended period of time if the goal is to get them back on. Now, a couple of other notes with this protective order. The first is, despite press indicating that Tate Paul, Taylor's first husband, and Dakota Mortensen went to the courthouse together to equally file protective orders, my review of the court calendar did not show any pending hearings between Tate and Taylor. It only showed hearings between Dakota and Taylor. Now, the second thing is that in filling out an application for temporary protective order, the court asks you to not only describe the most recent element or aspect of abuse or event of abuse, but also to describe past instances of abuse. This is probably why the 2023 video became so vital, because in looking for this, in filing this application for the temporary protective order, Dakota was obligated by the pleading to identify all other instances of domestic violence. And because there is a documented version of the domestic violence, and we have that in court records, we also have that in these footage, then that's where it comes into play now. So I'm not surprised that the 2023 video became more relevant today, because in filling out the application for the temporary protective order, Dakota was obligated to list the other instances of domestic violence. Now, I don't know these people, and I'm not weighing in whether or not the protective order was appropriate, whether or not Dakota is at fault, whether or not Taylor's at fault, but I am here to give just the smallest practice tip here, which is if whatever conflict is happening here is impacting their child, that's when the court's going to take serious umbrage with any of their behaviors. So if you're going through any sort of nasty custody issues, make sure you're insulating the children from them. Once we break that wall, once we stop insulating them from our own conflict, the conflict that is so clearly here, then the court's going to have to get much more involved. And so my hope would be that they ultimately are able to move past this in whatever iteration, that they're able to get whatever help is necessary. But ultimately, I don't care what happens as long as they protect that little kid from.
It's a really good video, that. As I know, usually I don't play clips for that long, but like he just spoke pure facts the whole time, and I didn't really want to interrupt because there's nothing that I can really provide to the whole court case and custody filing without being completely uneducated, especially compared to this bloke who clearly knows his shit. Makes sense as well. So the restraining order is from an event that happened last month, but in filing the restraining order to the court, they have had to bring back the previous video into public contention, which is probably why it got leaked. If he's not the one that sent it to TMZ, there was probably some crossfire somewhere there. He might have sent it to the court, and maybe sent it to someone who sent it to the court, and TMZ somehow just got a hold of it because some fucker sent it to them, right? Who knows really what happened? Maybe he really did just send it to TMZ and just fucking lied about it. Yeah, man, there's just so many allegations towards Taylor Frankie Paul, and the courts they did grant the restraining order as well, so it does seem as though there is a lot of compelling evidence here. Also got a screenshot here that showed that Frankie Paul was calling Dakota over 118 times in one night, 150 times even. Yeah, I mean, as can be seen, but to be fair, it's not as though Dakota didn't facilitate this obsession, because he was still he got with her a night before she left to film The Bachelorette. They keep getting together constantly, despite breaking up constantly. This is why it's very difficult to paint Dakota out as a completely innocent person either. And I know I'm gonna get so much shit because people usually because there's been a very common argument online if the genders were swapped, we would not be treating Dakota with nearly the amount of sympathy that we're treating Taylor Frankie Paul with. I have actually received a lot of shit on this channel before for treating abuse cases like this with the nuance that I am presenting this one with, despite the genders being swapped. Like, this is not me pretending to have some sort of nuanced discussion or pretending to not know exactly what was happening here because I'm some sort of performative fuck who wants to side with the woman 100% of the time. I have received so much shit for not mindlessly siding with female victims in cases like these. Not saying that I called them liars or victim blamed them by any means, but I didn't mindlessly believe every single word that they said, like many people are doing with Dakota here, despite there not really being any basis for them to do so. I think they're both knobs. I just think that Taylor Frankie Paul is very clearly the way more abusive person involved here, and the one that is much more imminent danger to the child. And one thing I will say as well to people who want to claim that female abusers are given so much more grace by the media or the public, I'd point you towards Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, where that didn't happen at all. Like, Amber Heard received so much bullshit during that case, despite Johnny Depp, like, blatantly lying to your fucking face constantly. There was one moment where I was genuinely, like, in shock, like, okay, how the fuck are people on Johnny Depp's side here? Like, it really does go to show just how misogynistic conversations about abuse still are. Obviously, yeah, there are improvements. We're beginning to see more nuances and stuff, but there's still a huge problem. I gotta find this clip, man, because it's fucking insane. It was this one here. It was where Johnny Depp talks about how Amber Heard sliced his finger off, which in my opinion is total bullshit. I say my opinion. Just Fucking make your mind up yourself. Look at this clip here. I know this is slightly off topic, but I'm trying to display just how stupid these conversations can be sometimes, whether it be a male victim, a female victim, I don't fucking care. Like, all of these conversations have elements of stupidity from many people in the public.
Do we have the date of this recording? Mr. Rottenborn?
What's the date of the recording? I'm sorry.
I don't know. It's a plaintiff's exhibit. I don't know the date of the recording.
Okay.
Oh.
Fight you're talking about? I don't know.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
now we're talking about Australia. Okay. Yeah.
So we all have that tape loud and clear. I'm talking about Australia, the day that I chopped my finger off. That's not only what he said, it's obviously what he said. Here's him explaining how it happened from his point of view.
Drank it. Mr. was flinging insults left, right, and center, and she then grabbed that bottle and threw that at me. I honestly didn't feel the pain at first at all. I felt no pain whatsoever. What I felt was I felt heat. I felt heat, and I felt as if something were dripping down my hand, you know. And then I looked down and realized that the tip of my finger had been severed. I think that I went into some sort of, I don't know what a nervous breakdown feels like, but that's probably the closest that I've ever been. Nothing made sense. And I knew in my mind and in my heart, this is not life.
Now, Amber Heard said that he severed his finger during a drunken rampage by sort of smashing a phone on the wall and hurting his own finger. I actually recently suffered a similar injury. You can see it there on my finger. It was about 3 weeks ago, so it's healed up pretty nicely by now, although not perfectly. I think it's still got a bit of a ways away to go. I don't know if it'll ever be, like, fully formed back, but whatever, right? And this was self-inflicted. Like, this was a self-inflicted injury. It's pretty hard for someone else to do this to you. But either way, we all heard that voice recording. He said, in Australia, the day I chopped my finger off. I'll play it again for those who didn't hear it.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
now we're talking about Australia. Okay. Yeah.
You hear that? And you said the day I chopped my finger off?
And then when he's confronted with this very clear audio recording, he goes, no, that's not what I said. It's like, what do you mean that's not what you said? It's literally what you said.
Fight you're talking about? I don't know.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
now we're talking about Australia. Okay.
Are you sure that's
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
what
You
I'm
actually
saying?
don't.
Or is it the day that I got my finger chopped off?
I still can't watch this video and, like, not fucking rage at it. Because he's such an obvious fucking lying arsehole. And look, this is not like a thesis on the entire Amber Heard, Johnny Depp trial or whatever the fuck. It's not me calling Amber Heard a saint by any means. I'm not saying I know exactly what happened here either, but I am saying that in this one instance, Johnny Depp is clearly lying, and it is indicative that he is not incapable of lying in this situation. And it's also an indication that people are very quick to shit on women when they have the opportunity to do so in a way that they can be perceived as safe.
No, you say the day that I chopped my finger off. So let's play it one more time, because I think I left out the word that. It says the day that I chopped my finger off.
Fight you're talking about? I don't know.
I'm talking about Australia, the day that
now
I
we're
chopped
talking
my
about
finger
Australia. Okay.
I'm not so sure. In fact, earlier you had quoted Jerry Judge from the airplane tape as calling me an asshole. We'll wait till the asshole falls asleep. And I'm positive that those words never left his mouth, because he would have, if I would have been making those noises in the bathroom, he would have ripped the hinges off.
Maybe they left his mouth when you were passed out, sir. Respectfully. Let's listen to this one more time.
I don't think
He's an arsehole! He's an arsehole! He's a lying arsehole who very obviously chopped his own fucking finger off and is now blaming it on falsely accusing Amber Heard of doing so. The fucking idiot chopped his own finger off in a drunken rampage and doesn't want to admit it because he knows it would look horrible for him. That's very obviously what happened here. It's on the fucking recording and he's lying through the skin of his teeth. And people, because they're idiots and because they're misogynists, I'm sorry to say it, actually fucking believe him. Look at the comments on this video, for example. example. His biggest hobby is playing the guitar. You seriously think a guitarist would chop one of his most important fingers off on purpose? Please. Who said anything about on purpose, you fucking wet wipe? It's like being hit by a car and later talking about the day I broke my leg. Doesn't mean you actually broke your own leg. God, I hate lawyers. Yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you, but if I was talking to someone who literally smashed my fucking leg open, I would phrase it as the day you broke my leg, not the day I broke it. I had nothing to do with it. So no, it's not like that at all, you mug. All the clips, you see Johnny confident and extremely careful with his answers, while Amber is half fake crying in the corner. Go all these comments, go on any of these videos, and look at the comments. Obviously, Amber looks bad in a lot of the clips as well. I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about this one clip, I'm talking about this one instance, because it so perfectly encapsulates so many of the issues with how we talk about abuse online. It fucking stinks. I know that was a detour there, but I feel like it was a necessary one to show you how much I hate this conversation a lot of the time. The internet is just not good at nuance, unfortunately. But anyway, we can go back to Taylor Frankie Poole now, who talked about this video on Good Morning America.
The opportunity to respond to recent headlines about the alleged domestic violence incident with your ex-boyfriend. What do you want to share with us about this?
Honestly, it's been a heavy time to see the headlines, especially during this time of The Bachelorette being released, and it's supposed to be a really exciting time. I'm a person that will always speak my truth, and that's what I'm known for, and so when the time is right, I will be. But right now, just trying to be in the present moment and focus on this. But the thing is my kids do come first. Mm-hmm. My kids come first, and so it's been like just a back and forth process, trying to be here in the present moment, worrying about, home and headlines. It's been stressful, to be honest.
We did reach out to Dakota, and we did not, for a statement, we did not get a response from him. Now we have reports that The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has paused production on the next season. I know there's a season on right now, and then season 5 was in production. Reports say it's paused. Is that true?
Honestly, I don't call the shots with production.
She says a whole lot of nothing here. Like, this clip is we're not even going to finish it because I've seen it before and it is genuinely nothing. It's very, very PR team response, and it's just a lot of words for no comment, essentially. And this is it. This is why I need to stress it so much, because people are going to get it twisted. They're going to think, oh, you are on Taylor's side, or oh, you're on Dakota's side. Oh, you think one of these people did nothing wrong. No, I think they're both arseholes. I do think Taylor has done a lot worse than Dakota. I do think Taylor is a lot more abusive than Dakota. I do think she's a lot more dangerous towards that daughter than Dakota is. That doesn't mean Dakota's not a fucking arsehole as well. And I don't buy that just because someone is reactively abusing, it doesn't mean that they're a good person. Just because you threw a bunch of heavy metal stools towards your husband and daughter reactively, it doesn't make it any less abusive or any less of a piece of shit thing to do. Well, actually, it does. It would be a lot worse if you did that unprovoked, but it doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it justifiable, is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, this is Dakota's roommate here, I think, talking about how they were shocked at the TMZ footage. They didn't leak it to them or whatever. Again, you can make of this what you will. He covers the whole claim of reactive abuse that people are bringing up, that Dakota must have done something to provoke this, which I agree is quite an unfounded claim. Like, you can't say that definitively, and anyone who is making that claim definitively is blind. Like, if you're someone who is saying, oh no, he deserved this, he definitely did something that deserves this reaction, then I don't think you should be allowed to talk about abuse on the internet, because that is so wildly irresponsible and fucking stupid. Even saying something like, oh, he might have done something to deserve this, or what did he do before this video was taken, that's a lot more reasonable than he definitely deserved this, which a lot of people are saying. And when you say something like that, I do think you can actually use the swap the genders argument fairly, because the same people who are saying that would freak the fuck out and call you a massive victim blamer if you said anything even along those lines to a female victim, for example. And I know that because I've said far more charitable things to victims on this channel and received a lot of shit for it from people who are now justifying Taylor's abuse as reactive. All right, now I feel like let's actually have a look at some of the responses on TikTok.
Women are fighting for their lives in comment sections of Taylor Frankie Paul videos right now, and I'll tell you why. They are recognizing patterns of their own abusive behavior when they watch that video. If you want people held accountable for DV, you gotta hold everybody accountable instead of cherry picking.
Now imagine my excitement when I run over to this man's profile expecting to see tons of videos on topics like this, and all I see are videos of him belittling women and going after feminists online. Talk about cherry picking who you want to see held accountable, sir. And that's actually one of the many reasons why, despite everyone asking me to speak on this Taylor Frankie Paul situation, I haven't addressed it yet. Because a lot of the people who are pretending to be outraged about DV right now are the same people who are huge sports fans or buying tickets to Chris Brown's newest tour.
Or the same people who, just as I covered before, mindlessly believe everything Johnny Depp said about Amber Heard, despite how fucking stupid some of it was.
What I'm saying, and also I tend to sit out of situations like this that I sense there's more information on. I'm actually not this involved in pop culture, and I feel like I don't have a fully rounded opinion on it other than yikes. What I can say you're actually seeing is a lot of women projecting their own experience in comment sections to defend her, which I am trying to hold myself back from doing.
That's definitely a thing that is happening, and you have to have sympathy for that to an extent, because that usually it does mean that they've gone through something quite horrific and they're seeing a form of how they reacted to the horrific thing that happened there. However, you can't inject your personal experience with abuse in every situation that involves abuse online, because your experience isn't universal by any means. I covered this, but human violence is so diverse in all its different colors, I guess. There's so many layers to any situation or any example of human violence in any way, shape, or form that you just can't apply your situation to all of them.
That's why you're seeing the word DARVO brought up a lot. It's a common description for narcissistic perpetrators' abuse. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender, and it's when they will deny any harm to you, right, and gaslight you, try and make it you think it's your fault, publicly attack you, go after your image, trying to turn possibly your friends and family on you, and then they will reverse victim and offender, which is where they twist the narrative somehow, and then they try and make it look like they're actually the victim in the situation. A lot of times they will do this by preemptively provoking you to a point and then recording it for later use, or maybe cutting up clips of texts out of context. Maybe try to provoke you in front of friends and family so they can witness you're crazy. A lot of us have unfortunately been through this, and then you ask the victim, well, why don't you have anything to counter this? Why don't you have anything to prove them wrong? Because we didn't plan this in our heads like psychopaths. So it leaves you looking really terrible. And so a lot of people are seeing that that could potentially be what these videos are, although we don't know that. Which is why I'm not going out of my way to defend her. I think that Mormons and reality television stars are strange to begin with, but I'm not going to jump on a train with a bunch of hypocrites immediately to drag a woman when I sense there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that I'm not informed on.
Yeah, it could be that. Like, it genuinely could be that. I think DARVO is so overused on the internet and usually makes no fucking sense when people use it. Obviously, it is a legit psychological term that is, I guess, useful in some situations, but not here. Anyone who was here during the whole Only JS thing knows my feelings towards DARVO and how overused of a term it is. But yeah, that genuinely could have been a thing that happened. We see that happen. It's not uncommon necessarily, where someone is provoked to the point where they have almost no other option but to just lash out as much as they possibly fucking can. But by that point, the camera's on and they're being recorded, and they didn't plan it out like fucking psychopaths, so they don't have any footage or video of the opposing party doing similar things. And the thing that sucks about situations like that is that it works, right? Because video footage is more powerful than any form of writing or any form of story or text evidence that you could possibly ever share. So as much as that video footage may have been obtained through dubious means, that shit is just so hard to prove. So yeah, unfortunately, it does work most of the time. If this does go legal, however, which it does look as though it will, I'm guessing they're going to get a lot of people who are, friends with Dakota. They're going to go through all of the text messages, and if there is something like that going on, then hopefully they will find enough evidence to where we can actually see these provocations. Or maybe they won't find any evidence of it, and it will just be as simple as Taylor Frankie Paul is far more abusive than Dakota ever was, especially towards her own child. Again, we just don't know. All we know is that what we have now looks really, really, really fucking bad for her.
So when a woman is accused of domestic violence against a man, I am always going to ask what that man did. I am always going to inquire.
Okay, again, look at this top comment. And why was he conveniently videotaping this? See, that is stupid. This is a stupid comment. Because if a woman was videotaping the abuse that they were facing, you would go, yes, good, videotape the evidence of you being fucking abused so you can use it later. However, now that the man is recording it, it's no, no, why would he be he shouldn't be recording this. He shouldn't be gathering evidence. What a fucking weirdo. It's like, no, that's not how this is gonna work. That's not how this is gonna work. What are you trying to say? If you're being abused, if someone's throwing stools, hard metal stools at your fucking child, you shouldn't be trying to gather evidence of it? Is that what you're trying to say, yeah? She also says, you threw me in the video. There you go, that's true. That's true. That's actually a very good point. I think there is very good evidence that he provoked this situation by throwing her very hard. Obviously, that didn't make it into the video, but that's true, and I think that is super fair to point out. But the mere fact that he was recording it isn't exactly the slam dunk that you think it is. It is something to be considered, yes, but it's not like this matter of convenience to where, like, just having a recording of it makes it less likely for some reason.
Because it's not enough to simply say, well, if it was a man, we wouldn't ask these questions. Well, because men have patriarchal power.
True, but for the record, if it was a man, you should still be asking these questions. If a video comes out of a man being abusive, it is very important to understand the motivation behind said abuse. And even though the motivation most likely does not justify the abuse, it's still very important to ask that question. And I do also understand that there is a very fine line between asking questions and victim blaming. So you have to be tactful with the questions you ask, how you ask them, and the type of person that you are, because there are certain types of people where you know why they're asking certain questions. And there's certain questions in situations of sexual abuse, for example, where it's like, oh, what was she wearing? Where you know exactly why they're asking it, and you know it, and that is victim blaming. That is victim blaming. But that doesn't mean that every single question in every single scenario is always victim blaming 100% of the time. Like I said, there's nuance to these situations, man. Like, yes, men have patriarchal power, but if, for example, there was a story where a man got sexually abused by a woman who drugged him, for example, would you ask the question, what was he wearing? No, you fucking wouldn't, because you're reasonable.
Right? Like, you can't simply just divorce the power that men have from their behavior and say, well, it's all the same. It's like, well, no, it isn't. Because we have centuries of evidence that tells us that men will weaponize their power against women to make themselves into the victim. There is a term for this. It's Darvo, right? Like, this isn't a new phenomenon. This is a thing that happens in our society. That's not to say that we should rationalize people's behaviors or say that it's okay to hit people. Like, right, we can say, okay, yes, maybe you shouldn't hit people. Yes, of course. But we also know who men are. We know who men are, we know who they have been, and we know who they will continue to be. And so if they don't want to experience the effects of patriarchy, they have a say in that, right? And one of the effects of patriarchy is that, we are going to question you a little bit more. Like, it's not just going to be a totally equal experience, particularly when we're talking about like gender-based violence or interpersonal violence or relationship violence. Like, there is a double standard there.
This video is a bit waffly. I understand what she is saying, but there's a bit of waffle here. Like, there's a lot of words and there's not really that much being said. You're the first person I've seen speak on this and not use the words, I'm not excusing her behavior, she was a victim doing what she could to survive. You don't know that. You have no evidence of that. Doing what she could to survive. What? Throwing a metal stool at her fucking baby? That 5-year-old baby? Did she have to do that, yeah? Fuck me. Like, this mindless defense of abusers in so many cases online, it boils my fucking blood, man. You know, it really isn't hard to say, I don't know exactly what's happening here. It's not hard. In fact, it's exactly what this TikToker was doing. As much as I don't agree with every bit of verbiage she used, I think that her heart is in the right place here.
Talk about the reactive abuse argument that's been flooding the comments about Taylor Frankie Paul, because I think a lot of people are using a real clinical concept in a way that is possibly dangerous. First, what reactive abuse actually is. Reactive abuse is when an abuser deliberately provokes their victim until the victim reacts, usually with anger or aggression, and then the abuser points to that reaction as proof that the victim is actually the problem. It's a real thing, it happens, it's horrifying, and it requires one very specific ingredient, a documented pattern of the other person being the primary abuser. So, before you apply that framework here, what specifically has Dakota done? Not he's emotionally unavailable, not he's sleeping with women in her friend group, not he's kind of a narcissist. What has he done that meets the clinical threshold for abuse? All those things are shitty and not okay behavior, but from what I have seen, I'm gonna need more than that. Now, could we find out Dakota has been physically abusive too? Taylor's team is already claiming years of extensive mental and physical abuse? Maybe. I'm not here to exonerate Dakota. They could both be victims of abuse, but right now, we know for sure that Dakota is a victim of domestic violence. There are allegations going in both directions, and I will update my position if evidence surfaces, but right now, what we have on video and what she pled guilty to in court goes one direction, and that matters. But here's what I keep coming back to. he recorded it. He recorded it because he knew that without evidence, nobody would believe him. And he was right, because even with the video, people are still finding ways to make him the villain. It is rare that we witness a man be a victim of domestic violence, and in these moments, it's important that we don't imply he had it coming or deserved it, because that's exactly what stops other men from coming forward in similar situations.
It's also what stops women from coming forward about these situations, by the way, because it's something that women hear constantly from victim blamers. And if you're someone who complains about things like that being said about women in situations like these, I would say either don't say it about him, or think a little bit more about your perspective on victim blaming, what it actually is, and what is okay to say in situations like these.
We don't ask what she did, we ask what was done to her first. And sometimes that's the right question, but sometimes it's just a way of avoiding what's right in front of us. I recognize this is coming from a man, but my own experiences with abusive women in my family have been minimized my entire life because of their gender. So this hits close to home. I believe women. I'm open to hearing more about Taylor's experience, but true feminism means holding people accountable regardless of gender. Reactive abuse is a real thing, and it's possible this is a case of that, but it's also becoming a get-out-of-jail-free card. And I think we owe it to every actual victim of reactive abuse to be a lot more careful about when we use it.
I think this is like such a reasonable video, and even if you disagree with him, you can tell that he's not coming at it from a bad faith place and that he means well. And it's not like it's an opinion where, oh, I disagree with you, but I still respect you, and I don't think you're a massive piece of shit for saying something that I happen to disagree with. I personally agree with him, though. I think that it's a very reasonable video, this, and I think that he is a licensed therapist, this guy, from what I do know. There were a couple of videos critiquing this, I guess, statement from him, though, so I want to talk about that.
I'm gonna be the one to say it because nobody else is. I am disgusted and horrified by this take from Therapy Jeff. I do not believe that this person is safe to work with victims of domestic violence, and the fact that he spelled out that he believed reactive abuse was a clinical term and it is a pattern of behavior, but then turned around and said, I don't care if Dakota slept with her friends. I don't care that he did this, that, and the third. I want physical markers of domestic violence so that I can see its abuse. That is not what abuse is all the time. Using physical violence as a marker of domestic violence is why so many victims get stuck in abusive relationships. And when you're turning to a therapist like this that you think is somebody you can trust, especially someone who focuses on dating relationships and family and marriage therapy, you get failed.
Okay, hang on, I want to cross-reference this with the actual video now so that I can make sure what is being said here is true, because from what I understand, I don't think he said that sleeping with other people or verbal abuse isn't abuse. I just think he said it wasn't physical abuse, which is true.
Mark here, what specifically has Dakota done? Not he's emotionally unavailable, not he's sleeping with women in her friend group, not he's kind of a narcissist. What has he done that meets the clinical threshold for abuse? All those things are shitty and not okay behavior, but from what I have seen, I'm gonna need more than that. Now, could we find out Dakota has been physically abusive?
Okay, clinical threshold for abuse. He doesn't specify physical abuse there. I think it is low-key implied that is what he meant, but I'll grant her that. Sleeping with other women in the friend group, however, is... You have to put that in a completely different context when you know that they are swingers and that it was a messy relationship to begin with, that they've broken up constantly and got back together, that the police have been called on them multiple times. All those things that he has been accused of there are bad for sure, but it does not justify her throwing huge metal stools at him and her daughter, even accidentally, which obviously, yeah, she wasn't purposefully throwing a metal stool at her fucking daughter, but it doesn't change the fact that she did it.
This is like saying that you didn't believe that Cassie was a victim until you saw that video that she was physically abused. When she said that she was trying to break it off with him and moved on, and then Diddy said, oh, you owe me money, and then her mom had to go get the money overnight and rushed everything, you didn't believe that that was coercive control or domestic violence? When Kid Cudi's car was blown up because Cassie started dating him and Diddy allegedly didn't like that, you don't think that that's coercive control or domestic violence? Therapists like this is why JP Miller got away with what he did. Therapists like this would probably believe that Brian was the victim until Gabby was unalived. Therapists like this that you go to for marriage advice, go to for dating, will not identify domestic violence and tell you to just work it out. That's bullshit. And this is why victims stay. I will also go on record and say I do not believe that reactive abuse is a thing. I think most people who are saying this are not set to work in this environment at all. Most people are saying this as just people who have experienced domestic violence. And while you might be an expert in your situation, you are not an expert in this field. And I think when people like Therapy Jeff are saying reactive abuse is in a clinical setting, I think that they're setting you up to be completely annihilated in family court. For victims who say, I reactively abused them, what you're doing is saying, they abused me, and I met them at the same level and abused them back. And now you are in an even playing field. And it is easy for your abuser to say this one more thing and just tip the scales, and all you have to do in family court is tip them just enough. 51 to 49%, and now you have lost your kids.
She threw a fucking metal stool at her her own daughter. It's incredibly plausible that that is one step above what Dakota may have been doing to her, despite what Dakota may have been doing to her also potentially being abusive. Just because one came first, it doesn't mean that that first thing was the worst thing that happened in the relationship.
And do not come in my lane on domestic violence and coercive control. And if your lane is strengthening marriages, you better hope they did not experience domestic violence. Now, with my clients and what I've told everyone is have a toolbox of people, a whole team of people. When you're escaping an abuser, your lawyer does their job, your therapist does their job, I stay in my box. I'm not out here giving therapy advice, and therapy Jeff needs to stay in his box. I think Jeff should be absolutely embarrassed on his take that he publicly posted that, saying that I need more evidence as to domestic violence rather than somebody using their kid as a pawn, locking somebody in a garage in their own home, saying that I only dated you because I liked you just a little bit more than the other women. And it's okay to say, this is not my realm, just as I would not diagnose people with anything because that's not my realm.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely misrepresentative of what he was actually saying in the TikTok. Like, look, and I'm glad that these comments here agree with me, by the way. I watched your video before I went and watched his, and I think we were watching different videos because you misrepresented what he said. You're misrepresenting what he said. He said bad takes before, like really bad takes. This wasn't really one of them. I agree with all these comments. Like, what he said, it sounded very, very fucking reasonable to me. I don't know, maybe if you disagree with me, that's fine. Let me know why in the comments, but just know that I am also coming at this from a good place. I'm not trying to be a dick here. I do think that he probably did provoke this. Like, he pushed her. I think he probably pushed her really quite hard and then omitted that from all his stories. This is a relationship where two incredibly toxic people were building on each other's toxicity, constantly breaking up, constantly getting the police involved. So to black and white it into primary abuser, reactive abuser, good guy, bad guy, abuser, victim, it's not gonna fucking work. It will never work. It just won't work. So stop trying to do it. Especially when we know realistically fuck all about it.
So you're telling me Dakota just picked up his phone and started recording Taylor Frankie Paul, not provoked, nothing had gone on, she just started going crazy because that's what she does. No, what you see is reactive abuse.
Oh, so you're telling me that Chris Brown just assaulted Rihanna for no reason? No, it must have been reactive. She must have done something to deserve it. Do you see how fucking unhinged it sounds now? And before you get at me, I don't think it's a similar situation at all. I do think that he was provoking. I do think that he pushed her before this all happened. I think it was quite hard. I think he's a massive piece of shit. I'm simply making the case that stating things like these so definitively is insane. You don't know. Just add a maybe in there. Like, if you were to say what we may be seeing is a case of reactive abuse. That's not what you said here. What you said is we are seeing reactive abuse. What you are essentially saying is that he deserved this. And that isn't acceptable. It's not. The word maybe would do you wonders here. It truly would. I think one small mistake I make here is that I'm acting as though I feel more sympathy towards Dakota than I actually do. To be honest, I couldn't really care less about these two people who are both clearly abusers who have gotten together and broken up and abused each other and their child countless times. I'm sick of people picking a side here because there is no side. They both suck. I'm on the kid's side. How about that? I think that's the only person we should all collectively be worrying about here. The little girl who is being undoubtedly abused by both of her parents. Her abusive parents.
You are only seeing a young girl, I think she's 21 here, at a breaking point. You don't see what he did to provoke her in this video. You don't see the abuse, whether it been physical or emotional, on her.
She was 29 years old. You don't even know what you're fucking talking about. You got the age wrong by 10 years. Does she even know that a 5-year-old daughter was fucking assaulted here? Does she know about that? Does she know about the child abuse? Does she know about the 3 years of probation that came after this?
Phone and started recording after everything he did to provoke her, to get a reaction out of her. And I'm not saying that it's okay, but she's 21.
She wasn't 20. I don't know if I can finish this video.
Moment is being recorded with a toxic relationship, a toxic man. Him saying, yeah, Taylor, this is what you do. Clearly is him just still egging her on when she is absolutely losing it. That is reactive abuse, and I do not think she should be canceled for that. If every woman at 21 that was in a toxic relationship with a manipulative man had their worst moments recorded and sold on the internet, everyone would be a lot less judgmental.
She was 28 years old. If you're getting the age wrong by 7 fucking years, she's had children before this. That was her most recent child, 5 years old. So you're saying that she had this 5-year-old kid at 16 and the other's younger than that even. I don't know. Is it so rude of me to say that you should probably educate yourself fucking slightly before you have such strong stances on situations that you realistically know nothing about? Again, I also said that he probably did provoke this to an extent by pushing her really hard. I don't think this TikToker here even knows about the push. her. I think it's just pure speculation on her end. She doesn't even know how old she was. The level of education you have on a subject should always match the level of conviction you have on a subject. And that is not what we're seeing here at all.
Unpopular opinion, but we cannot hate men so much that we are now excusing what Taylor Frankie Paul did. It was reactive abuse. He was recording her. He pushed her to do that, and that's why he had his phone out. I don't give a shit. I don't care what he did or what he said. You don't throw chairs when your kid is 2 feet away from you. Stop making excuses for what she did.
She's right. Like, this is such a reasonable take, but the comments don't seem to agree. I actually do think that she's gone a little too much on the defensive there. I do care what he did. I just don't think it justifies what she did completely. It definitely changes the dynamic. It definitely changes how much we understand her behavior. It doesn't justify it, but it does matter what he did. It does matter that he pushed her before recording this and then started recording after the push to make it look as though he did nothing wrong and that she's the unhinged one. That's fucking disgusting on his end. Okay, so since recording, some other stuff has come out about Dakota. Most notably, an ex-wife's best friend of his came out with their experience, both in terms of direct interactions with him and also witnessing direct interactions between him and I guess his wife at the time. They said that this was about 10 years ago and that they'd visit them in university and everything. They go on to describe him as abusive, creepy, and weird towards her friend from the get-go. Extremely jealous, paranoid, and controlling, just like how he acts in the show. Apparently, he became unhinged at her friend because she wanted to sunbathe with her friends in a bikini. The marriage wouldn't last long, though, because apparently she caught him heating up his heroin on aluminium foil in their guest bathroom. I think this top comment explains it perfectly. Abusive people date/marry each other all the time. I'm not sure why people are so hung up on picking a side. Both sides have faults. Both need therapy. The end. And, I don't think there's any more succinct way I can think of to end the video, to be honest with you. By the way, I think I've said pretty much all I have to say about this situation. I don't mean to sound like a broken record here, but at the end of it all, it's a situation that none of us know really anything about because we were not involved in it. All we know is that it's unbearably messy and difficult to pick through. All we know is that the internet fucking sucks about talking about abuse. We know that most people have no idea what they're fucking talking about, and I hope you can appreciate that I'm coming at this from a place of good faith and that I'm not trying to be a dick here or mindlessly talk down anyone involved in the situation or victim blame anyone or make any huge assumptions. However, as always, if there's something I've said in this video that you disagree with, whether it be a minor one or a major one, feel free to let me know. And yeah, because I'm always down to listen to critiques like that. I think it is quite interesting and I'm always looking to challenge myself, I suppose. I do respond to comments, so if you want to leave a comment calling me a prick or whatever the fuck, then I'll respond if it's constructive. But aside from that, I hope you all enjoyed the video and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.